Hey guys, just want to do a quick video on set point theory and the three body types. This is something I think gets overlooked, and I think it's very valuable and important when you're looking at, a lack of a better word, programming, exercising and nutrition. So the first thing I think would be the three body types. You have your endomorph, mesomorph, and ectomorph, and this is for men and women. There's a lot of other stuff out there, but at the end of the day, I think these are the three primary body types that all of us fall under. Either, a combination of the three, more so two than the third, and anything in between. In understanding these, I think helps give you a more realistic approach to what your goal should be and what's realistic as far as outcomes. Not everybody has the same metabolism. Not everybody has the same muscle mass or stores body fat the same way. So quickly, I'm kind of looking at my notes here. The definitions. So endomorph has a more round or soft physique, gains or stores fat more easily, loses fat slowly, naturally slower metabolism. So unfortunately, that's just what it is. Some people fall under that category, and those are the people that struggle, and have struggled their whole lives with losing weight or staying in a certain body weight. You have then mesomorph, naturally muscular and athletic, with shoulders wider than hips, efficient metabolism, making it easy to gain muscle and lose fat. Sounds like perfection, right? That's where most people want to be, and that's where you see when you see fitness influencers and people out there. That's generally what they are, why they're doing it. And then you have ectomorph, slender with less muscle mass, narrow shoulders and hips with respect to height, naturally fast metabolism, making it difficult to gain mass, whether that's muscle or fat. So very skinny, thinner population. So I think knowing your body type, accepting your body type, knowing that while you can influence it through diet and nutrition and through workout programs and exercise, your body naturally wants to be where it wants to be. That's where the set point theory comes into play, in my opinion. I don't think a lot of people maybe know about this. I don't think it gets talked about a lot. So the set point theory states basically the body has a biologically programmed weight range, your set point, that it defends through internal mechanisms like hormones and your metabolic system. So while it's not super scientific, it's essentially saying that your body tries to stay within a certain weight range. As far as, with obviously your diet, nutrition, and your physical activity can influence that greatly, which is why I'm discussing it. But the idea that we have this, we see certain people with certain body types and certain people with different set points, and we think that it's a realistic goal, and it's not the truth. Unfortunately, you can't out-train genetics, and that's kind of the concept here. As well as much as we want to look a certain way and kind of fit into a certain kind of ideal, it's just not realistic. So, and we want something that's realistic for longevity and health, not a quick fix. Anybody can go and kill themselves at the gym and lose some weight and go on a crash diet and lose some weight and get to a certain point, but how many times do they fluctuate on and off continually? So the idea is to just find that healthy set point in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So an example of that, so for me personally, and in my opinion, I think you have probably about a 20-pound weight range, and that includes fat and muscle. that you can kind of stay in a healthy range. And that's for men and women too. Obviously, women naturally store a little bit more fat, so they're going to have a tendency to have a little bit more fat on their body. Men, it's going to vary, but ideally they have, a little bit more muscle mass than fat. But that 20-pound range just gives you an idea of where you need to be. And I think anybody that has fluctuated with their weight, like I have, knows that when you're getting, I've had moments in my life where I was cooking and stressed, and I didn't have time to work out, and I wasn't eating right, and I got below 150. And that's kind of a hard to understand, but I'm about 5'8.5", 5'9". And I think I kind of fall into more of the mesomorph and a little bit more of the ectomorph. When in my 20s, it was very hard to gain weight. But I knew that at that weight, I was at a very low end, and I needed to, I needed to gain weight. I needed to change what I was doing. And then I've been on the other side of the spectrum too, where I've been up to 185. And that was because I was not exercising, I was drinking, I was eating what I wanted, and I started to feel it, and I did not like it, so I had to make the change. I was pushing out of my set point, my range, to becoming very unhealthy. So keeping this in mind gives you a more realistic, practical kind of approach. A lot of people want to weigh themselves daily and weekly and say, oh, I got to be like right at 155, 160, or I got to be whatever the weight is. I don't think that's a realistic goal. I think a realistic goal is just to give you that nice 20-pound window. Doesn't mean that you should be fluctuating constantly through that 20-pound window. Doesn't mean that you should, for me, be 155, because that's very light. I still think I'm healthy there, but I know that at that point, I don't need to go any lower. Just as I have my higher threshold being set at 175. Yes, I could train and get to 175 and be mostly muscle, but I'm having to constantly eat and constantly train to maintain that muscle mass, which isn't realistic or practical. So most likely, if I'm at 175 pounds, it's because I've been putting on fat and I haven't been doing the things I need to be doing, and I need to make a change. So if you look at it that way and you have this 20-pound range, you're going to fluctuate, not necessarily week to week, but possibly month to month. There's holidays, there's all types of things. Life happens, but you need to be able to have an idea of when you get to those ranges, low or high, and you're not in between them, you're going to recognize that it's because you're probably doing something wrong. So, this is just something that to give you food for thought. Just think about training and nutrition on a realistic level, not getting caught up into what's out there on social media, thinking about it from your experience and what you know about your body. I think these two things go well together because they just work together. Your body type is going to really dictate a lot of your set point and your weight. So yeah, I just want to kind of throw this out there so you have an idea and just kind of think about that when it comes to your training and nutrition. Yeah, cool. Thanks for watching.